someone, you never really forget them.
Who could have polluted the entire Earth?
September 21st, 1945. That was the night I died.
Anger of the old reflects the anger of the earth. The earth knows it's wrong for us to survive.
Concrete roads everywhere I go. But I had no idea my crystal was so incredibly powerful.
There's another curse. Make all your bacon burn.
Totoro? Is that what your name is?
It's time for Argo City Podcast to jump into the world of Studio Gibli.
You would not believe your eyes if 10 million fireflies lit up the world as I fell asleep. 'Cause they'd fill the open air and leave teardrops everywhere. You'd think me rude, but I would just stop and stare.
Okay, no, seriously. How are you singing after this movie?
It's how I'm coping!
Oh, wow.
This is how I cope.
So we are back with another Studio Gibli film.
We
are back with the saddest, holy crap, the saddest Studio Gibli film.
Tonight we watched through the grave of the grave of the Fireflies, and oh my god, I had heard that this movie was sad.
Yeah, no. Sad does not do this justice.
Was devastating. It was brutal.
Like this is not sad. Like, you know, like the women who watch like Lifetime movies and sad movies to cry, they would skip this movie because it's too sad.
Oh my god.
Oh, wow.
My goodness.
We are back with Studio Gibli, and actually really cool because last time we did Castle in the Sky.
Yeah.
And that was like a surprise Studio Gibli, and this time it's an intentional and you kind of went right down the line here because this is Castle in the Sky is 1986, and this is like almost like the next one in 1988.
Yeah, this is like this comes out as his fourth official movie around the same year as My Neighbor Totoro was released.
Right, and there's a point to that, by the way. We'll get to that in a second.
Oh no.
Well, yeah, but so I think that's really interesting because we had talked about how for a lot of people Studio Gibli begins with like Spirited Away.
Yeah, and like Howl's Moving Castle and all that.
And ends with Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah.
And for some people will even go back as far as My Neighbor Totoro.
Or Kiki's Delivery Service.
Maybe, but I mean, My Neighbor Totoro is really where a lot will start. And
that's where I always fall out, because I never really understood My Neighbor Totoro.
Totoro is just, man, it's cute, and I love a Totoro costume.
That would be adorable.
I do not understand a lick of what I watched in that. And
honestly, I don't think anybody did.
No, but this was released as like a double package. Like they couldn't get the funding for this movie.
Yeah.
And so they doubled it up. They packaged it up with Totoro. That's why you'll see the two kind of talked about in Congress here. So it's in tandem here.
Yeah.
So it makes sense there, and it also makes sense that people would want to start after this. All right, there's an old adage of like how Studio Gibli is kind of like the Japanese version of Disney. And
honestly, you're not wrong about that.
There's a widespread perception of that. And after this movie, I am willing to throw down over that.
No,
this is not a Disney movie. Oh, okay, to be fair, Disney movies likes to do some of these tropes.
I mean, nobody has parents. That's something that is the same in this.
But they don't make you cry over it.
No, oh my gosh.
Okay, let's recap real quick.
Yeah, let's recap.
So, Grave of the Fireflies is really a ground level view of civilian life during World War II. of the refugees, of the ones who are displaced, of the
We're
ones who are
dealing with the ones that are like hiding from the air raids, trying to survive the famines and such that the bombs are bringing. Like,
and in U.S. we are used to seeing that from our perspective because we saw plenty of that as well, or even the British perspective with the Blitz, where they're getting air raids every night.
True, yeah.
Or in the U.S. where we have people living in tenements and we are heading straight into the Great Depression.
Yeah.
And so this sort of story it's not unfamiliar, but the setting is really unfamiliar.
Yeah, and that's something that really makes the difference here. Seeing like the different sort of shelters that they've got, and even the different even the different architecture and where people are running to hide versus where people might run and hide in the U.S.
I mean, their shelters are different than our shelters.
Yeah.
So what we've got is an older brother and his younger sister. A really
She's a
younger
toddler.
sister.
She's a toddler, and I want to assume the brother. I'm gonna probably pin him maybe around anywhere between 10 and maybe 14. That's what I was assuming.
I was thinking 12 to 14, somewhere in that range.
If he has an age,
and I don't have a good reference on that, but she's definitely
Okay, Google says that he's 14 when the story begins.
Man, did I call that or what? So that is Sita, which is really similar to Sheeta, which we were kept hearing all through Castle in the Sky. Younger sister is Setsuko, and this, so this is their journey. I'd really like to know a little bit more about how long this period is, because they're basically homeless for most of this. They're shipped off to family, but the family doesn't want them.
No, the family makes it quite clear after they've outlived their usefulness that there's no reason for them to be there any longer. Go find your family in Tokyo. Kind of wonder.
So, I mean, you think that Tokyo is going to be less bombed than this little podunk?
Yeah, like, it makes me even kind of wonder, like, what their Tokyo looked like. I mean, the Tokyo that I know today are, like, the really tall buildings. You can see it from space. It's super, super bright. Or maybe not from space. I don't know what I'm talking about. But you can see it, and it's really, really big and bright.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can see Las Vegas from space. I think Tokyo would probably go with that as well. It's just a different Tokyo. You'd miss some of the historical buildings, but there'd still be more, I think, more than you'd realize.
Yeah, and it's like there's not really anywhere else for them to go. They end up like hunkering down in like, I want to say it's like a mine shaft. Like, it's this little crevice in a cave where they set up like a cute little house, and then they put like mosquito nets up, and they're like eating frogs and snails. And,
right,
like,
and I mean that's after they leave the aunt's house, and the aunt is like taking advantage of, okay, you could sell this stuff, and
like, yeah, you could sell your mother's kimonos and get rice,
but we're gonna take some of it, and
no, because here's the thing that made me mad about that. It's the whole situation with like, well, you could sell them off, and I'll go do that without even consulting them. She just says, oh, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna take these, and I'm gonna go hide away with them. Like, I'm gonna go sell them. I think that's ridiculous.
I mean, I thought that had their best interests at heart, because Mom would want to take care of them.
She didn't ask, though. She just said, oh, I'm going to take this and do that.
But they also kind of tug at your heartstrings, like, no, you can't, with the little girl, with Setsuko, going, no, you can't sell Mom's clothes.
Those are Mom's clothes. Those are Mom's clothes. And she just keeps sobbing it out.
Again, it's like, oh, no, I understand. This is probably best. But then she's like nipping a little bit from their rice, and, well, you know, they're working and you're not. Well, yeah, I'm not working because I'm 14, but and I assume there's just no work to be found, because at 14 he could be working, but also this is a devastated area.
Half of your country, half of your like businesses have been destroyed. If you're even lucky enough to get labor on a farm, you really think they're going to give you much food? Like,
yeah, but the real terrible thing is, we learn about 40 minutes later, that the aunt has told Setsuko that Mom is gone.
Yeah, like, she said Mommy's in a grave. that mommy's gone.
And
oh,
I
you can't even think of a funny thing to say. It's just that frustrating.
I want to introduce my metacarpals into her upper colon.
Okay, never mind. But it's just like
it's so.
I was like,
it's so
oh
horrifying.
my god! Like, are you kidding me? Like, oh my gosh! Like, I understand she can't stay ignorant forever, but that should have been a talk between the two of them,
Right? Because I mean, really, how do you explain to someone at that age?
How do you explain that to a toddler? Like,
I thought there, and it's very sad because we see her burying the Fireflies that they caught the previous night, and I thought that was interesting the way that she's trying to cope with that, because I remember as a fairly young child that in my own way I was trying to work out issues of death and burial. And so I had arbitrarily decided that one of my stuffed animals had died.
oh,
And I buried it under my bed. I put it under there with a sheet or a blanket, and this was me as a child, a very young child, probably around 6, maybe
Really?
5, trying to work out what that meant and prepare myself to understand death. And so we see Setsuko doing that same thing.
that's interesting. I know, especially when I was younger, we had a lot of older relatives that had passed as I proceeded to get older. The first one I think I remember was maybe Granny?
It would be Granny. It almost
it would've
certainly
been-
has to be Granny.
It would have been Granny or Nana's friend that played the violin. I always forget her name.
It might have been Kathy, but we didn't go to that funeral or anything, but we were there for Granny's viewing.
Yeah, I don't really
So-
remember anything beyond that, though.
Yeah, and you were really young for that.
So maybe a better. I'm trying to even think. Like
It's hard because I think Nana and Papa really were the ones that you could have come of age as a part of.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that they were probably the biggest hit, just because I was old enough to really understand what that meant.
And I'm going to tell you right now, speaking as an adult, it changes because the old people that, it's natural. Maybe in Nana and Papa, you died younger than they should have.
Yeah.
But it's a whole different thing when it's somebody who is way younger and you haven't had to deal with that yet, where it's really unexpected, really crazy. Whereas I've had some of my best friends. In fact, I had a little bit too much of that even before I was 25. I'd probably hit about 30 funerals. It was bad. And I will talk about Mike Saban passing out in Washington. I couldn't make that funeral. Or Dan Cruiser, who I led worship with, who I made a movie with.
Really?
And I'll tell you what, I got to that funeral and I saw him and I couldn't handle it. His brother showed up and I just fell into his arms because I couldn't deal with it. And so trying to translate that to this child is just so hard, so hurtful, so impactful. I wonder if it's even more impactful the older that you get.
Yeah. And if at this point, if you're here, you've probably already seen this movie or you've already heard us talk about the ending, but those last 30 minutes, we are watching that little girl slowly pass from malnutrition. We are watching her bit after bit become weaker and less willing to eat and smiling less and moving less until she's literally laying there and doesn't wake up.
I mean, the death itself is it's over 5 minutes. It has to be over 5 minutes. It feels like it's an eternity. This is not a long movie. This is 90 minutes.
This is an hour and a half.
And this feels like a lifetime.
But you know what? like, the death itself, of course I was upset, but you know what really struck me?
What?
It was the burial. It
Yeah.
was the putting her in that tiny little box with her doll and the little box of the fruit chews, and just watching it burn. Because the beginning of the movie starts off with, my name is blank, and this is how I died. I am dead.
And I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's dramatic. Like, there's an episode of Doctor Who that starts off like that. It's the end of season 2, where Rose talks about, this is the story of how I died.
Yeah.
And it's, well, really the story of how she just vanished into another dimension. So I'm thinking, okay, we're into something interesting, into something dramatic, and it's a war movie. Like, I'm not into war movies.
Yeah.
Mom is.
Oh,
Mom
really?
loves a good war movie. And I think that's one of those fascinating things about her. It's one of those things I love about her, that she gets into that. And I just can't. It's not my... Like, I didn't play with G.I. Joes as a kid. I played with He-Man. The Gen Xers are all, like, punching the air. Like, yeah!
But like, the whole thing about this being a war movie is that, unlike in a lot of them, this story doesn't get a happy ending.
No, it really doesn't.
We don't get a happy ending in this story.
In fact, the sad ending is the whole point. And it's not a nihilistic ending. It's not just, oh, evil wins. It's just, this is what happened. And maybe that part of me died with her. There's a point to this as well. This is also based on a book. It is? Yes. Just like Howl is. Just like Violet Evergarden is. Just like all these others that we've been engaging in. The book was written semi-autobiographically.
Okay.
The author is, in the book, he's trying to work out his own feelings and his own guilt about his little sister dying in the war of malnutrition.
Oh, that's so sad. I don't want to compare this to a real person.
But that's part of what this is, and I don't know, it adds weight. And it's like,
I don't like that.
So let's talk a little bit about the imagery here as well, because there's something you said I thought was fascinating.
Oh, yeah. Earlier on, as we were like, we're just like getting out of this whole bomb thing. We are regrouping with all the other people. I'm looking at the background at this like almost off-tonish yellow and oranges and blacks, and I'm like, everything except for the characters looks like an oil painting.
Yes, it's very soft. It's very hazy almost.
Yeah.
This is intentional.
Really?
So the artists were instructed to avoid the use of black.
Really?
Even in the characters, you don't see a lot of black. You see
we see like a lot of darker blues or
yes, a
greens.
Very navy blue. The idea of not using black gives it a much softer, more I almost dreamlike tone.
State? Yeah. Huh.
I thought that was interesting as well, because I'm watching Setsuko follow Sita everywhere.
Yeah.
And to me, if we're talking about dreamlike films, I'm going to come back to Phantasm and the younger brother Mike in that. He's following his older brother Jody everywhere. Jody literally says, I can't shake him. He follows me everywhere. It's like he knows I'm going to leave. And it almost feels like that here as well. Yeah. Only it's inverted. It's like, I'm following you everywhere because I know I'm going to leave. I know my time's not going to...
Yeah, she was like actively saying like, don't leave me, please don't leave. Mm-hmm. Oh, that... I don't want to keep thinking about that. I'm going to start crying again.
I seriously, it's...
Let's talk about happy things. Let's please. I have so many thoughts that are happy thoughts, and we're going to think about that instead of the depressingness.
Let's get into your notes, because most of my notes are well, yeah, the heavy stuff.
Yeah, let's not do that. Okay, so, I absolutely love this dynamic between the two siblings. Especially during the happy stuff, because we're going to ignore the sad stuff. Especially during the happy stuff, like when they are giggling, they're playing by the beach. They're like, taking care of each other, and they're goofing around and having fun, and that was fun to see them like that. You
literally see how Sita is teaching Setsuko to conserve the fruit drops. Yeah. I'm just going to do this a little bit, and we'll do more later. Oh, look how cool. We've turned the tin into a water thing. Yeah. Into a canteen. And there's so much innovation. There's so much we are going to rely on. We're going to move to the shelter, to the bomb shelter.
And then we can do anything we want.
There's a book this reminds me of.
Yeah?
So, one of the books that my generation grew up reading is called My Side of the Mountain.
Okay.
It's about a young man who, he's probably 11 or 12, maybe 13. He runs away to the mountains, to the Appalachian Mountains and stuff like that, because his family land is there. And he is going to live off the land. He is determined. He is going to build a house out of a tree.
Okay.
And live off the land. Well, the trees are so big around. Remember, some of our friends headed out west once. They brought you back some wood from the petrified forest.
Oh, yeah!
The trees are so big, like, they would cut notches through them for cars to drive through. Oh. So, in My Side of the Mountain, he hollows out a tree and builds a house out of it. A stovepipe cool. And everything. And he just learns to live off the land. And these two absolutely do that.
Yeah, that was honestly really fascinating. Another one of the things I really liked was, well, I mean, I mentioned this earlier, but like the innovation of some of the clothing here. When the movie is initially starting, when he's bringing the little girl off to head over to one of the shelters, he grabs a rope and essentially ties it like a mini backpack to connect her to him. And that was such a cool thing, because I don't know, I thought that was brilliant.
And he is riding her all through town.
Yeah.
In that little makeshift cubby, that makeshift, I will carry you this way.
Yeah, and like similarly, with the little girl's like hood, it comes off, it folds into like a thing she can strap around her side, which is really cool. And I'm pretty sure those hoods are real, like those are real disaster things in Japan, if I'm not mistaken. Because I think I've seen clips of like kids wearing like yellow ones for like earthquakes and such. I could be wrong about that though.
Well, I mean, I've seen stuff like that. I've seen women in the U.S. do stuff like that to turn it into that like front carrier and stuff like that, where it almost, I look at them, it's like, it looks like you've wrapped a sheet around you and somehow carried this baby with you.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what else really reminded me of when you said that they were living off the land? Mm-hmm. Have you seen the animated Boxcar Children?
No, I have not.
Okay, Nana used to have the movie back at her house, and it reminded me so much of that. I'm gonna have to find it, and we'll have to watch it at some point. But it's just these kids that, while their parents are dead, they run away. They live in this little boxcar in the woods, and they're like, living off the area, gathering like tiny stuff around the area and building themselves a small home in it.
To me, that sounds exactly like what we're talking about. That's the U.S. version of this.
Yeah.
Because the war devastated everybody. So the people in the U.S. were having just as hard of a time as the people in other countries. In fact, there's a film I may or may not have shown you it, or Nana might have actually even shown you it, called The Journey of Natty Gann. So it's a teenage girl, probably 12 or 13 years old, trying to find her father, who's at work in a mining town, after exactly this sort of thing. Being stuck with an uncaring aunt and uncle, and it's a bad situation. It's the story of her jumping railroad cars and hitchhiking and just trying to get back to him. It's absolutely brilliant. It's one of those like TV movie of the weeks that Gen Xers like me, all of us know it and nobody else does. Nobody else remembers it. It's one of the great early roles for Ray Wise, who I mostly think of with RoboCop, but he's also in Digging at the Marrow. He was the crackpot that Adam Green is talking about the monsters with.
Okay.
And he's done tons of other stuff. But this is one of those, like, if you know, you know. Mm-hmm. And it's early John Cusack even. So, yeah, what you're describing with Boxcar Children really reminds me of that.
Yeah. So, since you were talking about, like, that this is, like, their version of, like, how people processed, like, death as a child and how they kind of got through their guilt that way, you also mentioned your generation's version of that. Well, I have mine, and that would be The Bridge to Tethaberia.
Oh, you think Bridge to Terabithia is your generation?
That's what I'm also somewhat talking about the movie as well, but seriously, that was what my class always read.
Seriously, dude, you don't even know.
I thought that was what my class read. I don't know.
That book is a 70s book.
It is?
Dude, I read that back when I was a kid. Okay?
Okay, the movie came out in 2007, so maybe I watched the movie and not the book.
Yes. No, I
did read that book.
That's one we share.
Really?
Because when I was probably the same age as you reading that book, and you are absolutely right about the trauma dumping as far as like dealing with how we lose one of those characters.
Yeah, I think it was like a mother writing it about her son and her son's best friend. Mm-hmm. It's been a good while since I've read or seen those books.
Well, and the movie's actually excellent too.
Yeah,
the movie is a really good translation of it.
I do remember it being very good. Yeah.
So that's a really good description of it. Although even that, I don't think is quite as brutal as this is.
Yeah, I mean, like,
it's like I have a hard time even saying I've got to recommend this. This is actually like one of Robert Ebert's 100 movies to see before you die movies. But man, maybe it would have been better if I'd known going into it just what I was going into.
Yes, but then it wouldn't have been as fun for me. Because that was the whole point with this. I knew it was going to be sad. I didn't know it was going to be this sad, but I knew it was going to be sad.
Man.
But it's okay. The brother proceeds to flip around on a pole to try and cheer everybody up, and we're just going to picture that for the end of it.
We're just going to keep that in mind.
Yes.
It would be interesting to know what happens to him later. And where he goes.
We did see what happens to him later. He's, like, dying in one of the subway areas. In the very beginning of the movie, we see, these officers. They're
what?
Yeah, this one's dying as well.
You know what? That did not occur to me. That didn't click. Because, again, I thought it was just dramatic emphasis at the beginning. You're right.
We don't get a happy ending in this.
Man. Yeah, we don't even get to see him grow up and do something with his pain.
Nope.
Oh,
that
man.
makes me worse.
Yeah, well, yes, you just made it so much worse for me.
I'm sorry.
That's what I get for making fun of you and your book.
Yes, my revenge.
All right, you know what? Next week we're going to have to pick something much happier.
We need something happy.
In the meantime, the rest of you get on with your week as best as you can, and we are going to catch you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Bye! I like to make myself believe that planet Earth turns slowly. It's hard to say that I'd rather stay awake when I'm asleep, 'cause everything is never as it seems.
Make myself believe that planet Earth turns slowly. It's hard to say that I'd rather stay awake when I'm asleep, 'cause Everything is never as it seems.
When I fall asleep.